Are you eating healthy but still gaining weight? Still feeling tired? Still struggling with stubborn fat around your midsection despite doing all the right things? What if I told you that the foods you eat every day don't just nourish your body, they talk to your metabolism, your hormones, and even the very cells that become cancerous? Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every meal you eat is a metabolic decision. It either fuels inflammation, high insulin, and fat storage, or it activates healing pathways that improve energy use, support cellular defense, and even create an environment that makes it harder for cancer cells to thrive. Most of us have been trained to think in calories and macros. Eat less, move more. But that's like trying to fix a car by only watching the gas gauge. What really matters are the signals your food sends to your cells. Does it tell your liver to store fat or burn it? Does it trigger insulin spikes or keep your blood sugar steady? Does it strengthen your immune defenses or fuel inflammation? Today, we're focusing on root causes, not symptoms. Not lose 10 pounds fast. Not eat low fat, no carbs. But how specific foods interact with your metabolism, hormones, and cellular resilience in ways that help you burn fat, heal inflammation, and even create a body environment that makes it harder for cancer cells to grow. And I'm not talking about extreme diets or expensive supplements. I'm talking about simple, science-backed food habits, the kind of tools doctors use in functional medicine to support patients with metabolic syndrome, diabetes, and even cancer risk. Here's the best part. You don't have to overhaul your entire life. You just need to understand the physiology behind the food choices you already make. Because when you do, your body stops fighting against you and starts working for you. In this talk, you'll learn 1. Why certain foods help your body burn fat more efficiently at the cellular level. 2. Why feeding your liver, not starving it, accelerates metabolism. 3. How specific compounds in foods help regulate insulin, cortisol, and inflammation. 4. Why do some foods help limit resources that cancer-related cells rely on? 5. Which nutrient patterns improve blood sugar stability, a key to long-term health? 6. How to use food timing and combinations to support metabolism every day. So if you've ever wondered why diet alone sometimes fails, or why fat loss slows down despite good intentions, you're going to understand that today. And if this perspective feels valuable so far, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day to help you take control of your metabolic health through real science and practical habits. Before we go deep into the science, let me give you a clear roadmap of what we're covering, because once you see the pattern, everything will start to make sense. These are 6 food-based strategies that work not because they are trendy, but because they align with how your body actually heals, burns fat, and defends itself at the cellular level. Here are the 6 food hacks we'll break down one by one. First, we'll look at how certain foods activate your body's natural anti-cancer defense systems, especially by reducing inflammation and limiting abnormal blood vessel growth that unhealthy cells rely on. Second, we'll talk about how stabilizing insulin through food timing and combinations can dramatically improve fat burning, energy levels, and long-term metabolic health. Third, you'll learn why feeding your gut microbiome correctly is one of the most powerful and overlooked ways to regulate hormones, immune function, and even fat storage. Fourth, we'll break down how specific plant compounds switch on fat burning and cellular repair pathways, including mechanisms linked to longevity and disease resistance. Fifth, we'll discuss how supporting liver detox and bile flow through food helps your body clear toxins, metabolize fat more efficiently, and reduce hormone disruption. And finally, We'll explore how strategic fasting mimicking foods and meal patterns help starve dysfunctional cells while preserving healthy tissue, a concept supported by emerging metabolic research. Each of these isn't about restriction, it's about sending the right biological signals. Think of it like this: your body is constantly listening. Every bite you take is a message. The goal is to send messages that say, burn stored energy, repair damage, reduce inflammation, strengthen immune surveillance. And the good news? These signals come from simple, accessible foods, not extremes, not starvation, and not willpower. Now let's go to the first food hack, because once you understand this one, the rest will build naturally on top of it. Here's the first food hack most people completely misunderstand. They think cancer is something that suddenly appears. But in reality, cancer cells are forming in the body all the time. The difference between someone who stays healthy and someone who doesn't is whether the body's internal environment allows those cells to grow. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of cancer cells like weeds. Weeds don't grow in healthy, well-maintained soil. They grow where the soil is inflamed, overfed, and poorly regulated. In the human body, that soil is created by chronic inflammation, excess insulin, and unstable blood sugar. Here's what's really going on inside your body. When you eat foods that spike blood sugar repeatedly, refined carbs, added sugars, ultra-processed snacks, insulin stays elevated. High insulin doesn't just store fat. It also sends growth signals throughout the body, and growth signals are exactly what abnormal cells respond to. What the research shows is that lowering chronic inflammation and insulin signaling makes the body far less hospitable to unhealthy cell growth, while improving fat loss at the same time. This is where polyphenol-rich foods come in. Polyphenols are natural plant compounds that act like metabolic regulators. They don't kill cells directly. Instead, they activate your body's defense systems. Foods like berries, green tea, extra virgin olive oil, dark leafy greens, turmeric. These foods help reduce inflammatory signaling, improve insulin sensitivity, and support immune surveillance. The process where your immune system identifies and removes abnormal cells. One major mechanism researchers study is angiogenesis, the formation of new blood vessels. Cancer cells need new blood vessels to grow beyond a tiny size. Certain polyphenols naturally help limit excessive angiogenesis, essentially starving abnormal cells of resources while leaving healthy tissue untouched. At the same time, these foods improve mitochondrial function, meaning your cells become better at burning fat for fuel. Here's the practical protocol. You don't need to eat perfectly, you just need daily exposure. Add 1 serving of berries daily, fresh or frozen. Drink green tea once or twice per day, away from heavy meals. Use extra virgin olive oil as your primary fat, not seed oils. Add turmeric with black pepper to cooked meals for absorption. Timing matters too. Consuming these foods earlier in the day improves insulin sensitivity and metabolic flexibility. If fat loss is a goal, pair polyphenol-rich foods with protein and fiber. This slows glucose absorption and prevents insulin spikes, supporting both metabolism and cellular health. And here's the key point to remember: you are not fighting disease. You are creating an environment where health thrives. If this explanation is helping you see food differently, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day to help you understand your body and work with it, not against it. Next, we'll move into the second food hack, and this one directly explains why so many people are stuck burning sugar instead of fat. Most people think fat loss is about willpower. In reality, it's about insulin. If insulin stays high, fat stays locked. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every time you eat carbohydrates, even healthy ones, blood sugar rises. In response, your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin's job is not bad. It helps move glucose into cells. But insulin also has another job. It tells your body to stop burning fat. As long as insulin is elevated, fat burning is essentially paused. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your body like a hybrid car. It can run on sugar or fat. Insulin is the switch. When insulin is high, the engine runs on sugar. When insulin is low, the engine switches to fat. If you're eating in a way that keeps insulin elevated all day, your body never flips that switch. This is why people say, "I eat healthy, but I can't lose weight." It's not the calories. It's the constant insulin signaling. What the research shows is that insulin stability, not elimination of carbs, is what restores fat burning and metabolic flexibility. Studies consistently show that reducing insulin spikes improves mitochondrial fat oxidation, lowers inflammation, and improves long-term energy regulation. And here's the mistake most people make. They eat carbohydrates alone, fruit by itself, oatmeal by itself, toast by itself. Even healthy carbs, when eaten alone, can spike insulin rapidly. The solution is not fear, it's food pairing. Here's the practical protocol. Whenever you eat carbohydrates, pair them with protein, fiber, or healthy fats. This slows digestion, blunts insulin spikes, and allows glucose to enter cells gradually instead of flooding the bloodstream. For example, fruit and Greek yogurt, oatmeal and nuts or seeds, rice, plus vegetables, plus protein. Timing also matters. Insulin sensitivity is highest earlier in the day. That means your body handles carbohydrates better in the morning and midday than at night. Late-night carbs are far more likely to be stored as fat and disrupt sleep hormones like melatonin. Another powerful tool is post-meal movement. Even a 10-minute walk after meals helps shuttle glucose into muscle cells without requiring as much insulin. This single habit dramatically improves metabolic health over time. And here's an important cancer-related connection. Chronically high insulin doesn't just store fat, it sends growth signals. Growth signals favor abnormal cell behavior. Lower, well-regulated insulin supports a metabolic environment that prioritizes repair over growth. So remember this. You don't need to eliminate carbs. You need to control insulin signaling. When insulin comes down, fat burning turns on, naturally. And if this kind of physiology-based explanation is helping you rethink fat loss, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day, breaking complex health science into tools you can actually use. Next, we'll talk about a food hack almost no one connects to fat loss or cancer defense, your gut microbiome, and why feeding it correctly changes everything. Almost no one connects the gut to fat loss or cancer defense. But this may be one of the most powerful food hacks of all. Here's what's really going on inside your body. You are not just feeding yourself. You are feeding trillions of bacteria that live inside your gut, collectively known as the microbiome. And these microbes don't just digest food. They actively regulate inflammation, insulin sensitivity, immune function, and even hormone balance. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your gut microbiome like a garden. When you feed it correctly, beneficial bacteria flourish and crowd out harmful ones. When you feed it poorly, processed foods, excess sugar, low fiber, harmful microbes take over. And those microbes produce inflammatory byproducts that leak into the bloodstream. This is called metabolic endotoxemia. Low-grade inflammation that quietly disrupts fat burning and immune regulation. What the research shows is that people with healthier gut bacteria have better insulin sensitivity, lower chronic inflammation, more efficient fat metabolism, stronger immune surveillance. And this matters deeply for cancer risk. Your immune system relies on gut bacteria to help train immune cells to recognize abnormal or damaged cells. When the microbiome is impaired, the immune response weakens, not suddenly, but gradually. So how do you fix this? Not with probiotics first, but with prebiotics. Prebiotics are specific fibers and plant compounds that feed beneficial bacteria, foods that matter most. Cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, onions, garlic, and leeks, legumes and lentils, green bananas and cooled rice or potatoes, fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, kimchi, and sauerkraut. These foods increase the production of short-chain fatty acids, especially butyrate. Butyrate is a powerful molecule that reduces gut inflammation, strengthens the gut barrier, improves insulin sensitivity, signals fat-burning pathways. And here's something most people don't realize. A healthy gut improves how you respond to every other food hack. Polyphenols work better. Insulin regulation improves. Liver detox becomes more efficient. Everything becomes easier. Here's the practical protocol. Aim for 25-35 grams of fiber per day, at least 2 different fermented foods per week, 1 cruciferous vegetable daily. Go slow if you're not used to fiber. Rapid increases can cause bloating. That's not a failure. It's an adjustment period. Timing matters too. Fiber-rich foods earlier in the day help regulate appetite hormones like ghrelin and leptin. This reduces late-night cravings, one of the biggest drivers of fat gain. And here's the cancer connection again. Harmful gut bacteria thrive on sugar and ultra-processed foods. By feeding beneficial bacteria instead, you limit the metabolic fuel that dysfunctional cells and inflammatory pathways rely on. You're not attacking disease. You're strengthening the system that keeps disease in check. If this insight is helping you rethink digestion, fat loss, and immunity, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day, grounded in real physiology, not trends. Next, we're going to talk about a specific group of foods that literally switch on cellular repair and fat-burning genes, and why longevity researchers are obsessed with them. This next food hack is one of the most fascinating discoveries in modern nutrition science, because it shows that food doesn't just provide energy, food gives instructions to your genes. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Inside every cell are genetic switches that control whether your body focuses on growth or repair. When nutrients are constantly abundant, the body prioritizes growth. When nutrients are intelligently moderated, the body shifts into repair mode. This repair mode is where fat burning improves, inflammation drops, and damaged cells are either fixed or removed. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your body as a city. Growth mode is construction, building roads, buildings, and infrastructure. Repair mode is maintenance, fixing cracks, cleaning waste, and replacing broken parts. You need both. But modern diets keep the body stuck in constant construction, never allowing cleanup to happen. Certain plant compounds help flip the switch. These are called polyphenols and phytochemicals, and they activate pathways like AMPK, sirtuins, and autophagy, processes deeply linked to longevity, fat metabolism, and cellular defense. Foods that do this especially well include green tea, berries, dark chocolate, 85% or higher, olive oil, coffee without sugar, colorful vegetables. What the research shows is that these compounds create a mild, beneficial stress on cells, a concept known as hormesis. This small stress strengthens the cell, much like exercise strengthens muscle. One key process activated is autophagy, the body's cellular recycling system. Autophagy helps break down damaged proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, and abnormal cells before they cause problems. This matters for fat loss. When autophagy improves, mitochondria work better. Better mitochondria burn fat more efficiently. This is why people often notice improved energy and reduced fat mass when these foods become consistent habits. It also matters for cancer prevention. Dysfunctional cells rely on continuous growth signals and nutrient availability. Autophagy limits that environment by prioritizing efficiency and cleanup rather than unchecked growth. Here's the practical protocol. You don't need extremes. Drink green tea or black coffee in the morning. Use olive oil as a daily fat source. Include deeply colored vegetables at most meals. Add berries several times per week. Keep dark chocolate as an occasional intentional food. Spacing meals matters too. Allowing 4 or 5 hours between meals gives these repair pathways time to activate. Constant snacking shuts them down. And here's a key reminder. This is not about starving. It's about strategic signaling. When your body senses balance, not excess, it becomes more efficient, resilient, and metabolically flexible. If this deeper look at cellular repair is helpful, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day, translating complex longevity science into habits you can actually use. Next, we'll talk about an organ most people ignore, yet it sits at the center of fat loss, hormone balance, and toxin clearance: the liver. This next food hack may be the most underestimated of all, because if your liver isn't working properly, fat loss slows, hormones drift out of balance, and detox pathways back up. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your liver is not just a detox organ, it is the central control hub for metabolism. It decides whether fat gets burned or stored. It regulates blood sugar between meals. It processes hormones like estrogen and cortisol, and it determines how efficiently toxins are neutralized and removed. When the liver is overloaded by excess sugar, refined carbs, alcohol, ultra-processed foods, or chronic inflammation, it shifts into survival mode. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your liver like a busy airport. When traffic is smooth, flights take off on time. When too many planes arrive at once, everything backs up. Delays happen everywhere. In the body, that backup shows up as stubborn belly fat, fatigue, hormone imbalance, and brain fog. One of the earliest signs of metabolic dysfunction is fat accumulation in the liver, even in people who aren't overweight. What the research shows is that supporting liver function improves insulin sensitivity, fat metabolism, hormone clearance, inflammatory control. And this has direct implications for cancer risk as well, because toxins and excess hormones can create signals that promote abnormal cell behavior. So how do you support the liver with food? Not with cleanses, not with detox teas, but with nutrient-driven liver support, foods that matter most. Cruciferous vegetables, especially broccoli and Brussels sprouts, beets and leafy greens, garlic and onions, citrus peel and lemon water, eggs, which provide choline for fat export. These foods support liver enzymes involved in phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification, the systems that convert toxins into forms the body can safely eliminate. Fiber plays a huge role here too. Without enough fiber, toxins that the liver processes get reabsorbed in the gut, undoing the work your liver just did. Here's the practical protocol. Eat at least one cruciferous vegetable daily. Add lemon water or apple cider vinegar before meals. Ensure adequate protein to support detox enzymes. Avoid late-night eating, The liver repairs most effectively during sleep. Alcohol matters more than people think. Even moderate frequent alcohol consumption slows liver fat clearance and disrupts glucose regulation. And here's an important fat loss insight. When the liver clears fat efficiently, your body becomes better at burning fat everywhere else. The liver sets the metabolic tone. If this section is helping you understand why fat loss isn't just about eating less, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day, focused on fixing the root causes, not chasing symptoms. Next, we'll bring everything together with the final food hack, one that uses strategic timing and fasting mimicking patterns to starve dysfunctional cells while protecting healthy ones. This final food hack isn't about what you eat. It's about when your body is allowed to rest from eating. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your cells are constantly making decisions: grow, store, repair, or recycle. Those decisions are heavily influenced by nutrient availability. When food is always coming in, the body stays in growth mode. Growth mode is useful, but it also favors fat storage and gives unhealthy cells constant access to fuel. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine a factory that never shuts down. Machines run non-stop. No maintenance, no cleanup. Eventually, inefficiency and breakdown become inevitable. Your body works the same way. Repair only happens when growth pauses. This is where fasting mimicking patterns come in. And no, this does not mean extreme fasting or starvation. What the research shows is that short, consistent periods of low insulin and low nutrient signaling activate powerful repair pathways, including autophagy, improved insulin sensitivity, and metabolic flexibility. Cancer-related cells are especially sensitive to this. Healthy cells are adaptable. They can switch fuel sources. Dysfunctional cells rely heavily on constant glucose and growth signals. When those signals drop, even temporarily, healthy cells survive, while unhealthy cells struggle. This is known as differential stress resistance. From a fat loss perspective, the same mechanism applies. Lower insulin windows allow fat to be released from storage. Mitochondria switch from sugar burning to fat burning. Energy becomes more stable instead of spiking and crashing. Here's the practical protocol. Start simple. Use a 12-14 hour overnight eating window. Finish dinner at least 3 hours before sleep. Drink water, black coffee, or unsweetened tea in the morning. Eat your first meal when hunger is real, not by the clock. As metabolic health improves, some people benefit from extending this to 16 hours a few days per week, but consistency matters more than extremes. Food quality still matters during eating windows. Pair protein, fiber, and healthy fats to keep insulin controlled. Avoid breaking fasts with sugar-heavy foods. That defeats the purpose. Sleep is critical here. Poor sleep raises cortisol, which raises blood sugar and insulin, blocking fat loss and repair even if food timing is perfect. Here's the big picture. This isn't about starving cancer. It's about withdrawing excess fuel from dysfunction while strengthening the systems that protect you. Your body already knows how to heal. Your job is to get out of the way. And now, let's bring everything together. As we wrap up, let's zoom out and look at what you've really learned today. Because this was never about 6 random food hacks. It was about how your body actually works. You saw that healing, fat loss, and long-term protection don't come from fighting your body. They come from working with its biology. You learned that inflammation and excess insulin create an internal environment where fat storage increases and unhealthy cells gain an advantage. And you learned that simple, consistent food choices can shift that environment back toward balance. You saw how polyphenol-rich foods don't attack disease. They strengthen your body's natural defense systems. how stabilizing insulin unlocks fat burning instead of forcing restriction, how feeding your gut microbiome improves everything from immune function to hormone balance, how plant compounds activate cellular repair instead of constant growth, how supporting your liver clears metabolic roadblocks most people never address, and how strategic periods of rest from eating allow repair systems to finally turn on. None of this required extremes, no starvation, no obsession, no supplements doing the work your body is designed to do, just better signals. Here's the most important takeaway. Your body is always adapting to the environment you create. Every meal either nudges you toward inflammation and storage, or toward repair, resilience, and metabolic flexibility. And small changes matter more than perfection. You don't need to do all 6 food hacks at once. Try just one. Maybe it's pairing carbs with protein. Maybe it's adding cruciferous vegetables daily. Maybe it's finishing dinner earlier. Maybe it's replacing seed oils with olive oil. Pick one change and track how your body responds over the next 7 days. Energy, hunger, sleep, cravings, focus. Those signals tell you you're moving in the right direction. This is how sustainable health is built, not through fear, but through understanding. And remember this, cancer is not just a genetic event. Obesity is not just a calorie problem. Aging is not just about time. They are deeply connected to metabolic context, the internal environment you shape every day. If this talk helped you see food as information, not just fuel, then this channel is for you. If this added value, like the video and subscribe to join others who are optimizing their health naturally, with science, not hype. Your body already knows how to heal. You're just learning how to let it.